Yep, we're just trying. This video will show how to do this macrame guitar strap. It's only going to be using 3 knots, so it's really not that complicated. The first knot is the reverse lark's head knot. You're going to start by wrapping the string in the stick and then pulling the string through the hole and making sure it's secure. Now, the half hitch knot is a completely different knot, and honestly, I thought it was a little bit hard to handle. But all you do is you take the far right or the far left string and use it as an anchor. The other strings will wrap around it twice, as shown in the video. It's actually important to keep in mind that the anchor decides where the string will be going. So here I'm going to do a straight line, so my anchor is straight across. But in the guitar macrame design, I actually wanted it diagonally, so the anchor would have to go diagonally. The last knot is the square knot. This is the easiest to learn. It is usually done with 4 strings, and what you're gonna do is take the far left one and spread it horizontally across the other strings. You take the far right one and put it on top of that one and go under and pull it through the other side diagonally. Then you do the same thing but backwards. You take the far right string, spread it horizontally across the other strings, put the far left on top and pull it diagonally to the other side. You pull it and then you secure. And finally, to the fun part. You're gonna need 2 guitar strap ends and macrame cord. I wanted my strap to be 5 feet, so I had to multiply that by 3, which is 15, and then that I had to double it, so it would be 30 feet, the total that I had to cut. I cut 6 strings of 30 feet. To secure the string to the strap end, I used a reverse lark's head knot. So again, looping it through and then putting all the remaining string through the hole that was created and pulling it and making sure it's secure. I did this with all the 6 strings, meaning you will have 12 strings to work with. The number 12 is important because it has to be a multiple of 4, since the square knot has to be with 4 strings. My main tip with creating any macrame project is keeping your strings organized. This is going to help you in the long run. So first we're going to start with the square knot. I wanted to create a secure space so the strap wouldn't be loose. I made a line across using square knots, so I separated the 12 strings into groups of 4. That means we're going to be doing 3 square knots in the first row. After completing the first row, then you're going to take away the far 2 strings and do a square knot with the next 4 strings. And then repeating that to the other side, taking away the 2 and then with the 4 next to it, doing the same knot. To create the X, you just have to do 1 square knot in the center and then 2 and 3. So in total it's going to be 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. The X is just to give it some sturdiness to the strap, but I wanted to start the design by doing a straight across horizontal half hitch knot. So I take the anchor, which is the most left cord, and I put it across horizontally through the other ones, and I wrap each of the cords around it as shown previously. And now the real design begins. So I separated the 12 groups into 2 groups, so 6 chords each, and then the 2 most inner chords, I separated them and I placed them diagonal to create this top of a diamond shape. This will be our anchor for the half hitch knot. So taking each of the chords and wrapping it twice around our anchor to create the top of the diamond shape. In the middle of the diamond, I wanted a square knot. So I separated the 4 most inner chords and I did a simple square knot using those 4 chords. So again, placing the far left chord on top of the other chords and placing the far right chord on top of the other chord and pulling it diagonally under it. And then repeating that backwards. And then it was time to place the anchor to finish the diamond shape and do the half hitch knot. And then to the other side, wrapping each of the chords to the anchor and finishing the diamond shape. Huge tip is to leave the chords tightly packed together so no unwanted and unnecessary spaces would appear. Yet in this case, some unwanted spaces did appear, so I used some extra cording to fix this problem. So as you can see, this space appeared and the other string wouldn't have covered it. So I took some short macrame cord and I used a reverse lark's head knot, and you can barely see it. Just make sure that the knot is tight enough and then just finish off the shape. Turn the belt around and do a little knot on the back and just cut the excess string. The last side that you do, that's the one that you're gonna keep going first. So staying with that chord, just keep going with that anchor straight across, finishing the diagonal line to start off the next diamond shape. And then to do the other side, just take the string that best fits the other diagonal line and keep going that one across, doing the half hitch knot. Repeat this pattern for as long as you want your strap to be. When you're finally satisfied with the length of the strap, you're going to finish off with the straight across half hitch knot that we did at the beginning. So again, placing the anchor how you want it and doing a half hitch knot for each chord. As you can see, I learned from my mistakes and now I have my chords a lot more organized than in the beginning. So it is uniform at the beginning and at the end. We're gonna do again that X shape. So doing 3 square knots across here and then 2 and then 1. To do the 2 square knots, you take away 2 of the most outer strings of each edge, and that means you're going to be left with 8 strings. You're going to separate them into 2 groups and do 2 square knots. And then 1 square knot using the 4 most inner strings. Don't worry, we're on our final stretch now. Doing again 2 square knots, just like we did last time, taking away the 2 most outer strings of each edge. Put the remaining strings through the strap end, just pulling each cord, making sure it is organized. When all strings are through, flip the strap around so the strap end is facing you and the remaining strings are facing up. Now this part is a little tricky, but I found it's the way that the strap will have more stability. So take 2 strings, and since you can see those 2 strings on the other side, use those 4 strings that you can see to do a tight square knot. So I know it's really hard to see, but just try to move some cords around, try to get access to the ones in the back so you can actually do a proper square knot. You will have in total 6 square knots here. So because I had this remaining string, I wanted to do a few more knots to give it more stability. So I put this cloth on top of it so you can see the remaining strings better. You know how I said that the square knots are usually done with 4? Well, here I kind of cheated the system and I did a square knot using all strings that were remaining. I did this a couple of times until when I stretched the string, it felt stable enough. And actually, I still had a lot of string remaining, so I decided to cut it pretty low, just in case the person told me they needed it longer, I could still have some string to do that. If not, then it just gave it a little flair with some fringe. And finally, this is the finished result. I'm super happy with how it turned out and super proud of myself that I was able to do it since I couldn't find any video explaining how to do a macrame guitar strap. I give this project a 10 out of 10 because even if you're learning in the process, macrame is really forgiving and any mistake that you make, you can easily fix them.